Everybody should at least have one grievance with this beast system that's in front of us. And I think if people really do the self exploration, everybody's got multiple reasons not to like this system.
So, I just wanted to ask you, Magnus, because I know you've been speaking about this for a while now, and you do go put a lot of time and effort into the collective online, and I know sometimes you share like your frustrations because people aren't applying the knowledge that you're putting out there. So, what would you say to people now with the information you're putting out in terms of Magna Carta, and how can we apply that in the communities?
Well, the main thing that we need is the people. Like, we need millions and millions and millions. Like, we need, just like with whether you like football or not, everybody knew the World Cup final was on, whether you like football or you didn't enjoy football. Everybody was talking about it at work, at their families, at all these different types of assemblies. It was being talked about. So people need to not see this as being something that's complicated and involved with loads of different articles and barons and kings and queens and all of this convoluted confusion. Like, they just need to simplify it down to the bare nuts and bolts of that treason has been declared. There was a massive foghorn that sounded for ages that we all missed and didn't hear, but it was declared. Treason has been declared 20 plus years ago, and we are now like we've always been. Like, essentially, this just should have been stopped the day that it was declared. The day that it was declared, we should have all known that treason was declared. We should have all had the song sheet, which is clause 61, as a set of instructions, and we should have all been looking at getting in the same place to all follow out that set of instructions, whether it be by taking buildings, lands, or possessions. Like, whatever it took to get that change, to get treason rectified, should have been done. So the important thing now is obviously realising that hasn't been done, and we've had what is essentially an open declaration of treason now for 20 plus years. So we've been living in an illegitimate matrix that is enforced and very real, but holds no authority. And yeah, the reality is we've got a declaration of treason. We need to all get together and we need to read clause 61 as a set of instructions to everybody.
And what does that actually look like? So, if you were to give a layman's guide, simple terms, for someone that's maybe just hearing about Article 61 now, the relevance of what we're going through right now, just give us some brief instructions and brief powers that Article 61 gives to the people, and just to give people a little hope that there actually is a solution out there in Article 61, and it's not just some inaccessible ancient treaty clause that is abstract and questionable.
So obviously the treason that we've had and we've unfortunately had to have running our lives way before our ancestors, like pretty much for millennia, the treason that we've been involved with hasn't been stopped, hasn't been changed. It's just got worse and worse and worse and worse, and now we are literally here in 2021 fearing for our lives, not wanting to be vaccinated. Everybody needs to be under oath, and everybody needs to inner over and understand what taking that oath means. They need to know that treason has been declared, and they need to know that they are taking an oath to stop that. Now, for me anyways, when you take the oath comes with clause 61 as a set of instructions. You know treason has been declared, and you've now got a set of instructions. So the missing ingredient is obviously going out and doing what those set of instructions tell us to do. Now, we can't go out and do that without the full, like, we need over 50% of this country, of this community, to be with us to do that. So how we get this to work is by getting that 50%, by people going around, whether it's door knocking, going for a phone book, going through your contacts list, whatever way that you can, obviously working smarter, not harder as well, whatever way you can to wake up people, to get them talking about this, to then essentially, like, the picture that I've got in my head is, like, they own the media, they own all of the resources that tell people what to do, where to go, and can control the crowds. Like, they've got that. We don't have that. All we've got is grassroots movement. So we're up against a scenario, like, if we had media, like, what we'd be doing is we'd be saying, oh, oi BBC, oi ITV, oi Sky, like, these guys reported on it once and just stopped. So that's an interesting thing to talk about as well. So when clause 61 got invocated, it was reported on BBC, The Times, Guardian, Telegraph, all of these other major newspapers and news stations and radios. It was like their responsibility. They had to report on the truth.
Because they didn't actually know what that means, right? Like this.
They were probably worried. They were probably worried. They probably thought, well, okay, so the barons have come together with this petition. They've petitioned the Queen. Like, if you actually read through the correspondence, it says that it's supported by thousands of members of the public, people that are in the military, the navy, and stuff. It was a very weighty, meaty statement of intent and petition, essentially.
Talking about statement of intent, I know you've kind of spoke to me before about like making like a one like super template or super like document that we can use and serve to the government.
So with serving notices and things, like I'll never call for serving a notice, because we should just be focused on stopping the change. I kind of explained it before. The reason why the notices were created were because these groups that were all change based and wanted to get change, wanted to do all of the instructions that Clause 61 telling us to do, what we actually need to do to stop all of this treason. These groups got formed. All of these people, these men and women, took oaths. They knew how rotten, how corrupt, how treasonous the system was, and they wanted to change it. The missing ingredient back then was the people. They didn't have the people. And I think David Robinson, who's an absolute legend and somebody that can pick up any kind of treaty and give it a thorough analytical review with annotations, and just like a snap of a finger, it's like the guy was a genius. But
can I just interrupt briefly? So just listening to you say 50% of the people is what's required in your opinion, I imagine to a lot of people that maybe aren't so action based, that kind of seems like mission impossible, because they're looking around in their supermarket and they're seeing, fuck, I'm like the 1% here, maybe 2 at a push. Now, getting all of these people still wearing masks, still virtuously signalling to other people that they taking the vaccine and doing their bit and whatnot. People are going to look at the figure of 50% and probably give up, because it's such a mountain. Now, we've got 2 million people marching in London with controlled opposition movements like
agent provocateurs.
I'm not going to mention any names of these movements because I don't want to make it into an us versus them, and I don't want to create too much division here. But we've got 2 million people that clearly want action, and they clearly want change, and they've clearly had enough. Now, me personally, I think 2 million people in London all singing from an Article 61 hymn sheet is enough to really at least put a little dent in the system to start with. And I just want to call out to people that are action based, that are marching, that are giving their energy on Mondays and Saturdays, and whenever they can get down to London and they're paying £60 train tickets. These people clearly want change.
Yeah.
And 2 million people that clearly want change is more powerful than the idea of 50% of the population knowing about Magna Carta and knowing about the treaty in the Article 61.
It's just about starting small, isn't it?
I say exactly 2 million is Chris. You're right. You're both right. 2 million is a good. We're literally 100% certain, and we can all agree that we've got 2 million people that can. I mean, I spent over 120 quid that I definitely didn't have to get to London last time, and there's 2 million people that can do that every week, rain or shine. They've got that there. It's a start. But that type of number, that's not we almost need to have a siege mentality with this. We need to it's not about turning up for 3 or 4 hours and shouting and that. What we need to do is essentially take places and siege them and hold them and defend them and do it enough until people join. So
what does that look like? Sieging a building. How can you do that lawfully? Because there's a lot of people right now, I think, being edged into violence because they're so frustrated that they're thinking, okay, we need to use force. We need to. Some people are having standoffs with police. They're hitting police. They're throwing piss at police. They're throwing eggs at police. This is just a signal of the frustration that people are experiencing right now. So when you talk about sieging buildings, how do you do that from a lawful perspective, and how do you do that lawfully, basically?
So obviously with Clause 61's invocation, we've got a declaration of treason. Acts and statutes and legislation comes from the exact same place that has been declared treasonous. So we are technically and lawfully, we are the most honourable, lawful people in the Commonwealth and the Kingdom, because we are not aiding and abetting a place that has been directly declared as being treasonous. We have got that lawful excuse. with, in terms of the question that you asked of seizing a building, we've got lawful, like our oath demands that we do. Like our oath demands us to be the most lawful people in this Commonwealth and kingdom and country to essentially rectify this treason. And how do we do a siege? We do that by being confident that we are being lawful, that our moral compasses are fully intact and ticking over, our ethics are in line, and we're all there to do the same thing. And with that communal spirit and togetherness, the siege becomes quite easy, because everybody from, like, you don't need 50% of country to siege a castle. You need a couple thousand people on the outside to be supplying those people, keeping things ticking over, and just all the while, like, talking about it. The more people that hear about those things, the more people that will want to join, want to help out, and the more we can get. And again, like I said, we've never had common law. With Clause 61's invocation and the clean slate and blank sheet that we have in front of us, we have the perfect opportunity to create the most watertight, ethical, absolutely peaceful version of common law that we've never had. And we have the opportunity to seal it, cement it, make it so that we're never in this position ever again.
Yeah, and I also just want to make a quick note of, when you are sieging a building and when you are invoking something like Article 61 lawfully, I think it's super, super important for people to understand themselves on a deep level. I think this is where the personal self-growth comes from, like the self-work and knowing your true strength and your true weaknesses comes from, because it's not everyone's role to be violent and be aggressive, but it's definitely some people's life goal and life journey in this lifetime. That's why they're here. They're probably 6'6", fucking built like a brick shit house, probably haven't got that many brain cells to rub together, but they know something wrong's going down right now. Do you know what I mean? So they're clearly here to be the brawn. They're clearly here to be the muscle. Now there's people here that are 6 stone wringing wet, and their main power in this lifetime is their mind, their intelligence, and their ability to come up with logistics. Now that person's going to be great for organising people and maybe coming from a lawful and coming up with loopholes and coming up with the brains behind it. And there's going to be people that are coming from a spiritual perspective that are going to be meditating and producing like a spiritual protection around people, and that's their journey in this lifetime. And this is why it's so deeply important to know your role in this and come together in unity and be comfortable in your role and don't try and play the role of someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is all about unity, all about coming together, and all about really understanding who you are and what your role in this is. Because we all know something wrong's going on, and we've all got different methods of going about it. But I think the true thing that should unite us is Article 61 of the Magna Carta, and that communal effort to rectify treason and produce something better for humanity going forward.
Yeah, it's as easy as if we can all agree that treason has been declared and that things are wrong, like that. Once we've all got the agreement, decide we've got a set of instructions conveniently, but if we're all under the common communal agreement that treason has been declared and that things are wrong, we don't need a set of instructions. We'll all know what to do. Yeah. But we all need to feel that and fully appreciate that. There's such a, what people think is a gap of paradigms between like rich people and poor people in this country, and I'm poor myself, but we're all in, like, rich and poor, we're all the same. We're literally all slaves. Like, they don't give a shit about anybody's money. They've got federal reserves and fractional reserve banking and things like that. Like, they print money like confetti. Yeah. And it's the same way these rich people have still received their vaccination letters through the post and stuff, because they're on the list as well. We're dealing.
No one's exempt, are they?
Nobody is exempt. We are all slaves in this system. So it doesn't matter if you're a doctor or if you're a solicitor. I mean, it could be more difficult for solicitors to come to terms with this, but it doesn't matter who you are. Like, you are a slave. Like, that's shows you that, man. Yeah. Well, we talk about Cestui KV. That's something that not many people talk about, although it's starting to be talked about now, which is great. So Cestui KV is another act again that comes from the fire of London. Again, different avenues of research will show you that they weren't potential maybe fires, but away from that was when they weren't sure how many living there were, so they classed us all as missing. And that, from classing us as missing with us never declaring us as returned, we've ended up with these fraudulently created trusts and birth certificates which have created our straw man, and that's almost personified our slavery. And we're born in it. It's almost like I remember I went to a private school, and it's when they're asking you like, what's your sir, what's your connotation and stuff like that. They're almost like getting you to be proud and feeling that that's your mister, that's your sir. That's like when you're younger, they refer to you as master, and they like you to refer to yourself as that. And it's all just acceptance of the slavery system to make it real, to make their manifestation real.
So the common denominator in everything that we are speaking about, all of this treason, the common denominator is power and organisation. Like anyone that's received a parking ticket knows. Just look at that, for example, something as minor as a parking ticket. You've parked somewhere apparently incorrectly according to someone's rules who's created these rules. You get your £35 fine. Say, for instance, the park, you just forget. It goes to the back of your mind. You've got ADHD, you've got memory problems, whatever. It goes to the back of your mind. You've got life to get on with. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got life to get on with. It goes to the back of your mind. It's just a parking ticket. They're going to be sending that letter through your door 28 days later if you don't pay it or reply. Now, this is the level of organisation that they've got going on. There must be millions of people every week getting parking tickets, and the same process goes on, and the same level of organisation comes and bites us in the arse, basically. It's the system biting us in the arse from a powerful and organised perspective. Now, something that I've realised over the past year is something that we're lacking is organisation. And we've got the passion, which far outweighs power. Passion beats power all day long. But it's the organisation that we need to get. Like, does anyone have any suggestions for the people watching maybe that are on side already? How do we get organised? Like, how do we remedy this from an organised perspective? Because to beat their level of organisation and power, we need a certain level of organisation within ourselves.
We're up against a beast system that is, and this is how they get it as well. They make everybody an individual cog in that beast that all works together to become like the perfect engine, and it keeps ticking, and it's almost impossible to stop, because when they create it to the point that they've created it to now, it doesn't matter if you remove like one of the cogs, it can still keep turning, it can still keep churning. So the only way that we come up and we defeat that, which is what we need to do, we don't just need to come up, we need to defeat that and take it away. And we do that by becoming, I think, a people's partnership and sharing our literally everybody just being under oath, just communally agreeing that we've got a problem, that we need to solve it. The rest will, I think, fall into place. But people need the confidence, and they need to almost assure themselves that what they're saying is what they're saying. Because a lot of people will say like, "Oh, treason's been declared," but they're going out and they're posting things on like the Equality Act and stuff like this, and just things that relate back to them. Like, need to take it seriously, and just unfortunately, like people get bored of me like posting the same things, but it has to be the same things because the problem's never changed. The problem's never changed, and the solution is always here.
We need to focus on the roots rather than the little offcuts that because we can bring up acts that are fraudulent, and we can bring up parking tickets, and we can bring up bus lane fines, and we can bring up, I can mention hundreds of different little bullshit things that we all just accept as normal, and we just acquiesce and just go along without protesting, but deeply pissed off about on that day getting pulled over for going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, for example. These are all just the bushes, right? The bushes of treason. Like, and what we need to do is we need to focus on the root, which is what Article 61 brings us together to do, right? We're focusing on the root of treason. Yeah. So all of us being together to remedy treason, there does have to be some level of organisation. There has to be someone with some Virgo placements, Capricorn placements, organising the real hard work, the real organisation, and orchestrating people. Like I'm very like, I'm in the mindset now that people have to let their egos burn out. No one can put themselves in a leadership role. I feel like the natural leaders have to lead, because people are here to lead, and people will naturally lead, and people will also naturally want a leader because maybe they don't have the capacity to lead themselves. So it's hard to really put forward a leader or leaders, but also at the same time we do need them, clearly, because that's just humanity and how we operate. How do you think that we can lead this movement from an organised perspective? Because I truly do believe organisation is 100% key.
The one thing that we've never had, and even when we had the lawful assembly the other week, and that was in my opinion anyways, that was like the first time that the narrative had been fully shifted away from these protesting and things that give them jurisdiction when we shouldn't be, and it had been the first time where it had been flipped to a lawful assembly. But I mean, still, on that day you had controlled opposition taking their sections off, completely dissecting things, and we weren't able to really address everybody. Like the one opportunity that we tried to address everybody, the police stormed in, it was broken up, we never got to say anything. So the one thing that's been missing is a large amount of people being talked to. Like I hate podiums, and I never agreed with the concept of talking down to people. That just creates power structures that shouldn't be there. Yeah. But in terms of being on the same floor as a massive, like imagine like a Trafalgar, like you could probably pack about 1 million people into that concrete square. You could have it enforced so it is an absolute fortress and nobody got within an inch of it. And then off the back of that, you could address those 1 million people. You could literally say, look, we're all here because we're looking for organisation. We're looking for a way to communicate with each other and to take this to the next step. There's 1 million people here today. Thank you. We need more millions of people here. So we're going to do this. We're all going to meet up in the same place. The numbers are going to grow. And then when we're all together, we can start again. Once the ball starts moving with stuff like that, and we start really getting 1 million dedicated people there that are truly aligned and that are there to get change and nothing but, like, we won't get touched. We'd be able to be there for days and weeks and months and on end if we really wanted to. But the reality is we need to be addressing people at the same time so we can all know what we're doing at the same time. That's the coordination, that's the organisation. And on social media, it doesn't matter. Like if you have 50 million followers and you got one account, like for instance, if Cristiano Ronaldo joined us and he starts posting like anti-narrative stuff, his account's gone in a second. So there's no point doing it stuff like that. We need to be our own campaigns, our own grassroots movements, and yeah.
So just like a quick one, like you mentioned Trafalgar Square, and we could regularly
be consistent,
be there, but like people watching who have been to protests and whatnot in the past year will tell you, like, they will change the train ticket price. They will lock off certain parts of the underground so you can't get out of the station. They will have police barricaded against the door who shouldn't be barricaded against the door because they're literally fucking over humanity by barricading that door. This is the level of organisation that we're trying to beat here. Like they literally have so many different angles privatised. Like the police force is privatised. The rails are privatised. Like everything has been taken over by these private corporations that have no face because they're run by CEOs and they're private limited, public limited companies. So they just have a bunch of like a CEO and a bunch of shareholders, and like there's just so many like dilutions of who actually runs these organisations. And like I say, like if we wanted to get into Trafalgar Square weekly, there's nothing stopping them to locking off the underground every single Saturday, saying it's structural works being done on the Northern Line or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever Central Line.
They were doing all of that last. Like, I mean, the first like 3 or 4 ones that I went down to in London, all the car parks were locked off, and they were like got empty car parks, and then fully staffed security outside these empty car parks to make sure that they stay empty car parks. But that's always been there, and people have still gone past that and pushed them past that, and we've still managed to get good numbers there. But it doesn't have to be at London. It can be anywhere. But yeah, the main thing that needs to be done is like we need the people. The people need to be helping us, and people need to be coming in, and like I said, the people's partnership. That's how we almost need to start operating. Like some of the conversations that we're having in the Truth Pills group would be to, again, we need people with money, people with resources coming in to join us, because as soon as those people start coming in and joining us, that's when we can start having conversations with people that own sales companies that get big data sets, and that's when we can start being a people's partnership and combating them that way. Because the reason why they're successful is because they've got propaganda divisions that are pumping stuff out consistently with all the media platforms and stuff. If we
just sorry to interrupt, but just another thing that's coming to our mind is another thing and another way that they control us and kind of like divert attention away from the real truth is through controlled oppositions. I've already touched on the groups that have led marches over the past year. Like, I would like a little, like, just a snippet from all of us, really, on how you personally discern whether someone is a controlled opposition. Like, what tools do you use mentally to to literally discern and decode whether someone has good intentions or not, because people need to realise that the depths of what they will do to control this opposition. So stuff like Article 61 gets defamed and discredited and whatnot. It's endless. They've got endless, Freemasons and whatever, and they use multiple avenues and hidden people and agent provocateurs to discredit and just enforce treason through controlled oppositions. Like how do you discern whether someone has good or bad intentions?
Well, for me anyways, I'll start. It's same as always. It's clause 61, but it's what they're doing with it and what they're trying to get people to do using it. That's where I use my discernment. I'll just say I've said it enough times. Jackie Phoenix, don't trust her whatsoever. But the way that I discerned her was, one, by spending a month with her, but also looking at how she's using clause 61 and what she's getting people to do.
And what is she doing?
She took the main purpose of the group it being building seizures, and she flipped it to a notice-based procedure.
So just serving paperwork.
Just serving paper. She's created a massive army of pen pals and pen pushers that aren't ready for change.
So Jim, you asked earlier, what did you ask?
How do you discern the controlled ops, basically?
You said, how do you discern the controlled ops? And obviously we've been at pretty much all these protests from the start, observing them, recording them, documenting them. My answer comes from it's like you've both said, don't bother signing this oath unless you've educated yourself. And you're talking about getting 50% of the country, and how do we do that? I still feel we're such at a pioneering, trailblazing stage of this that we still have to really just understand this and understand the true law and educate ourselves. And from the spiritual perspective, know your specific role and really understand where you're at. Don't burn out thinking your role's just to print off oaths or something. You know what it's like? It's so much deeper. And when you get to know yourself, then I think you start to really recognize these potential psyops. But I'll be honest, it's very hard as people that I've been, because what these psyops do, they give you so much truth. They'll give you 99% truth, yeah. And then obviously if it's brand new to you, your head's this is amazing, this is amazing. And then the year on, they start doing weird things, and you're like, oh, okay, now I see that you're a psyop. So I think
they got you on the path, right? On their path, and then
they give you the truth and stuff to make you think that, oh, okay, this is where the truth comes from. And then as soon as they've got people thinking that, that's when the narrative control comes in, and it's right, I've got them now. This is how I control that narrative. I've got them thinking what
and
they.
If you say, for instance, the PLD group, it's become pacified, hasn't it? Because a year ago, you'd get thousands of likes on a post, and now you're looking at 6 likes. You're looking at people waiting 6 days for a post to become verified by one of the admin, and that in itself has pacified that group and pretty much taken the power away from that group. So that's how they just control you down their path, right? This is why it's important for people to individually take control of their sovereignty, right? And not
don't seek anything external. Yeah. I think sometimes you can almost walk yourself into a psyop because you're looking for something so external. You're like, someone save me. That's when you'll step into anyone's path and anyone's mission, what they're leading. And I always say to people, don't even listen to me. Trust me, you got to discern everything for yourself, because what I'm saying might not be right for your path. This is right for my path, and I'm speaking my truth. And going back to what Jim said, I think for me, they might have the same input as us, and they might have the same information, but when it comes to applying it, I think that's when you'll start to notice that they're not on the same frequency as us. They've got a different agenda. Whether it's ego-based, whether it's Freemasonry, whatever it is, they have a different agenda. Yeah. And because everything is so clear right now, and it's clearly only about unity and solution, if you're doing anything outside of that, to me, you smell iffy straight away. And there's been so many people we might not even know straight away, but eventually they reveal themselves. And
it's an energy thing, isn't it?
Man, it's draining, man. There's been a lot around me recently, personally, and I've almost had to step into them close to have conversations with them and find out a little bit about them, what they're doing, etc. And then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have the conversation. So it can be very taxing, because I'm not trying to talk to these people. It's draining from a spiritual perspective. It's very demonic energy at sometimes. You know what I mean? But you have to just listen to your inner sat nav, man. If there's 99 people going left and you're the only person, the 100th person going right, go right, innit? That's what your path's telling you. So man, that's what I would say on it.
Definitely. me personally, I decode things from an astrological perspective. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I know that's another thing people are not sold on, so I don't want it to discredit anything else I'm saying. But I personally use what dates are these people planning things on. I look at the astrology for that day. Is it on a new moon? Is it on a full moon? Full moon is a high energetic day where the powers that be, they use astrology against us on a daily basis. Full moon, great time for energy harvesting, because everyone is just bitey. Like, you'll notice around the full moon, your own energy, you don't need as much sleep. Just take note. Just take note. Do a little test on yourself. Next full moon is in 2 weeks' time. You'll notice from now until then, your energy starts to rise and peak around the full moon, and then 2 weeks after that, it becomes a new moon. The new moon is a time to surrender, let go, and make intentions for the month ahead. So when these psyops and when these controlled oppositions are doing protests and marches, just type into Google moon placement today, moon placement on whatever date they've chosen. There's one on the 21st of August. It's a worldwide protest. Of course it's on a full moon. Of course it's on a full moon. Of course it is. It's literally
you almost
on
know
the
before you
moon.
look now, innit? It's one of those.
It's on a full moon, and it's on Saturday. Saturday is the 6th day of the week. It's ruled by Saturn, and if we all look at the agenda that Babylon, the system, whatever, is creating, people call it satanic. Now, the seed of Satan is literally Saturn. It's the fact that they're doing it on this Saturn day. It just goes to show, on a full moon on Saturn day, just goes to show you that
there's a lot more. It's a lot more organized than you think, and it's not from the people that may be posting the posters.
Yeah, it's definitely not the people that are apparently heading the group, because, in my opinion, they don't have the spiritual knowledge. They don't have the intelligence, intellect, and just the respect for astrology to even base it around that day. But me personally, I can see 2 protests on a full moon and be like, okay, that's a coincidence. Now, I've been looking at the main protests people have been attending for the past year to 14 months, and every single one without fail has been on a full moon. Every single one. Now, some people have been in my DMs, Jim, it's the last Saturday of the month. No, it's not. Look back at the dates. It's not the last Saturday of the month. It's the closest Saturday to the full moon. The full moon energy lasts around 3 to 4 days, and they do it on the closest Saturday to that full moon.
Everybody should at least have one grievance with this beast system that's in front of us. And I think if people really do the self-exploration, everybody's got multiple reasons not to like this system. We are all equally slaves in this system. I know it doesn't feel like that for some people sometimes, but according to them, we are all slaves in this system. So find your common denominators, find your reasons to not like this system, and look at this blank canvas, read the invocation that we've got in front of us as an opportunity to change that and make sure that we are never collectively in this position again. We create something that's so watertight that has, we have a whole treaty full of anti-treason and anti-tyranny clauses, and have it so everybody is fully prepared and fully aware of what to do should we even get close to coming up to that opportunity again. And that's what we can create. So for all the doom and gloom that's in the air, and for all of the almost negativity that is around, I like to switch that around, and I like to focus on the positive, which is the fact that our whole life has been misery. So we can change that by the snip. If I could click my fingers with my bad hand, I'd do that. But we can change that in the click of our fingers when we all communally accept what has happened and want to change it. It is really as easy as that. So there's no complication involved with it. It's just a case of, I don't like using the word, but Chinese whispers on a grand scale around this country. And then once we've done that, we get freedom back. So I'll end with that.